yeah, we're gonna be in social distancing for probably another couple months. Maybe sooner. But Trump's gonna open the country up for business, right? Because we need to make money. The country needs to make money. People have to get back to work. So what's that mean? It means the virus is gonna spread again. And then what? After the summer, after everyone has their fun, and after everyone has gotten sick, a lot of people have gotten sick again, and because right now the hospitals are starting to get control over the capacity a little bit. As the weeks go on, you'll probably hear that the hospitals are a little bit more empty, and people, because of the social distancing we have been doing, takes a little time to show you those results. So we're like 2 weeks ahead of it. So in 2 weeks you'll see that the hospitals will be less busy. So it's like goal achieved, right? Everyone go back out there and go have fun, go to restaurants, go here, go there, go spend money, go on vacations, go make money, and it's great, because that's what we need to do. And it's hard, right? Because there isn't a vaccine, so you're not protected. Nobody's really protected if you haven't been sick and you haven't been exposed. So what's going to happen? The virus is going to spread. It's going to spread again, and that's just reality, right? Because that's what's happening in China and South Korea and those places there already that have done social distancing and opened it back up for business. It's starting to spread, so they have to kind of control it again. And that's, I think, what will happen here. We'll do our best to, restaurants might implicate, head count orders where they're just like, all right, we'll sanction off a few tables, we'll make space between people, and we'll keep it, social distancing like that. But eventually, the hospitals will get overrun again, and we'll have to implement another social distancing. And that's probably going to happen in the fall when the coronavirus spikes up again around this area. And I think it will just keep following that routine of a few months of work, a few months of social distancing, a few months of work, a few months of social distancing, just like that, until there's a vaccine. And that's just my thoughts on that. I think that that's how it's going to go. I mean, myself, I'm going to take precautions through the year until a vaccine is released. I'm going to continue trying to stay healthy and, doing the right thing. The vaccine really, guys, is the only safety you have to make sure that you're protected. It's gonna equip your body with the immunities that you need to fight the virus and fight it in a way that you won't die. If you try to fight this virus now, and you might say, 2-3%, I'm not concerned about that. I'll probably be on the higher end of those percentage numbers and beat it. And if you're healthy, and that's great. But there's some hidden numbers within those numbers that kind of scare me. That it's not just the 3% death rate, or if it's probably lower now, 2% or 1.5% death rate. It's the fact that 1 in 5, and that's 20% of people that are sick or need to go to the hospital for some treatment, whether it be a respirator or just to have a doctor or a nurse look at you. If they're too busy to do that, and that's just because they're taking care of a lot of people. They're very busy. I want to make sure if I go to the hospital, or if somebody in my family goes to the hospital, that they're able to be cared for in the best possible way. And if everyone's at the hospital, then you're not going to get the best care. And if you died because there wasn't a respirator for you, then that's a pretty shitty way to die. And that's happened already. That's really happened already. That's scarier than the virus itself. It's just, having to live like this and go to the hospital and actually not be treated because we can't control the spread of the virus, and we can't control the outcome of people getting sick. And it's unfortunate, and I empathize with that. I know I say it in such a way that it's very like we talk about it, but people are dying about this stuff. This is terrible. You know, my wife's a nurse, and I hear about this stuff every day. You know, she tells me what she goes through, and you know, it's not ideal. It's not ideal at all. And the vaccine, you know, there's lots of doubts about what the vaccine is, what it's going to be, what it's going to do, who's funding it, who's controlling it. Is it going to hurt us? Come on, it's not. It's not. It's not going to hurt us. It's meant to help. It's meant to prepare your body for the virus. It gives you a dose of the virus, but it's in a form in which it can't hurt you, and it lets your body develop antibodies so that when it comes across the actual harmful virus that nature made, which is far more scarier than anything that people can make, is something nature can make. And that's what happened here. Nature made this virus. Nature has no soul. It has no thought process. It just does, okay? And that's a scary thing. It just does things. And the virus developed in nature, much more powerful than what people could ever make. And it's doing its damage right now on us. And people as a whole have to stick together and come up with an answer together. And the vaccine is being put together by people that have money with the interest to make money, because that's what business is. And they're gonna do the right thing for people. You know what I mean? That's the thoughts that need to be in your head, is that people are helping people. You know, that's where this is going. You know, we can go into philosophy and talk about power and control, and those things absolutely exist. Yes, higher you go up on the chain, you want to keep power and control, you want to have money and things like that. But this virus is uncontrollable. If it was set out by people to hurt people, there's no way that they can control it in such a way where they can guarantee that it didn't hit them or their family. There's no way. There's no way. So there's no way that they would ever do that. It's unknown. It's a novel virus with no answer, no vaccine. There's really not much that we can do right now to combat this. And to set that out in a population where it would just spread everywhere, like it has spread everywhere, it would be on their doorstep very soon. It would be. If we didn't social distance, we would far overcapacitate the hospitals. And once that happens, it's game over. The virus is going everywhere, because once your doctors and nurses don't combat this and fight it forward and keep it at bay, it's over. It's game over, actually. The virus will end up on the White House lawn. So that's the main motivation of the government, is to make sure the hospitals can have the capacity to fight this virus and keep it away from them. They don't want it, of course not. Yeah, they don't want it. Just the same as I don't want it, they don't want it. And they have more means to keep themselves away, but they are on planet Earth. It'll find them if they don't help the health system, keep them armed, ready, keep them mentally prepared, and just keep that fight forward. So, you know, I would jump in line, take the vaccine, because that's what's going to help you. In the end, that's what's going to put this to rest. This whole social distancing, everything about this will be gone. Over. It'll change the way we live, yes, absolutely. But it'll just make life go back to what we remembered it to be, and where we can gather and be in larger groups at, like, if you want to go to a baseball game or a hockey game or something like that. You're not going to be able to do those things coming up. I'm pretty sure that stuff is off limits, off the table. They're not going to take the risk, like I said, because it's going to overcapacitate the hospitals, and their main interest is to not do that. You can't have hospital workers getting sick from this or quitting because their families are at risk. Who's going to take care of sick people? The government? Maybe the military, but they don't have the numbers that the hospital workers actually have currently. They don't have those numbers. They can't do that across the country. They just don't have that capacity. They need to empower the hospital workers to be able to manage this, which is almost impossible at this point. It is hard. That's why the social distancing is intact and staying the way it is. This is not a hoax. It's not a game. This is reality. If you don't believe it, then you're just living in a fantasy world, and I'm sorry for you, but this is reality. You know, if you go to your local supermarket right now, you know, you're gonna wait outside for 20 minutes probably before you can even get in. You know, they're requiring people to wear masks, which I think is the right thing to do. That's what they've been doing in China and South Korea from the start, and we've been putting that off in this country. You know, we jumped on their advice very recently, but you know, I understand why, because the CDC has recommended that we didn't wear masks at first because they had an ulterior motive, which was to keep the masks for the healthcare workers, which I understand. They don't want to have everyone go out and try to procure masks and take that from the people that need them most. And those are the doctors and nurses and people fighting this virus day in and day out. So their advice has changed because now we probably have an abundance, or at least a little bit more of a back supply of protective equipment. So yeah, wear a mask now. It's great. Stay protected. You know, this is gonna be life for a while. This is just how it's gonna go. We're a vulnerable species where a virus can literally just wipe us out. If this thing had a higher death rate, think about that. If this had a higher death rate, and if it was actually killing kids, like, I have a son, you know, come on, it's not what I want. That's terrible. If it was killing kids, what would happen? What kind of panic would we be in right now? You know, this is actually a good scenario. I'm sorry to say that. This is probably one of the best case scenarios that we can have for a novel virus. Other than its incubation period, that thing sucks. You know, 7 to 14 days asymptomatic, but it's not killing kids. It's not. I think it has killed a few, and I'm sorry for that. That's terrible. But it's not killing kids, man. It really isn't. It's not, which is fortunate. We are extremely fortunate to not have that be one of the things that this virus does. Because think about how, I mean, I'd go out of my mind crazy if I thought my son was at risk to die from this. I'm keeping him protected because there's no guarantee that he won't die from it. But the numbers show that it's not killing kids like it is with people with health conditions and the elderly and such. I just got to work, so I gotta go.